intro, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Okay.
Good?
Yep.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
My name's Joshua Turner. I am 32 years old. I live here in Brightmoor, Michigan, on the corner of Chalfonte and Beaverland Street,
Right.
just east of Telegraph, on 5 Mile and Telegraph area.
Yeah, close neighbors with neighbors building Brightmoor down here.
Yeah, next to right here in the Brightmoor Farmway is where all the community gardens are.
Right on.
Yeah, the Rouge River is right here. So
Yep.
this is the Rouge River and the park on the other side.
Right.
We do get, you have your roughage through here for sure. You get your things to happen like that. We're trying to take it back. We're trying, I hate the word "take it back." Sounds so aggressive, but it's aggressive times. You need to be aggressive out here because, look at what you're combating.
Right.
You can't,
Overwhelming blight.
overwhelming blight,
security
crime,
issues,
lack of response time. I've never seen a police force in my entire life. It took so long to get some. I mean, you can have bodies stacked up in the corner by the time anybody shows up.
Mm-hmm.
Even then, you have dumping on unlike anything I've ever seen in my life.
Right.
Just disregard.
Now, how long have you been here? How long have you been in the Detroit, Brightmoor?
About 2 years.
2 years. And where did you come from prior to that?
I grew up in Tampa, Florida. So I grew up in a major metropolitan city.
Right.
I've blessed and grew up in a family. My father owned a construction business, so we had to travel a lot growing up. So I've been to a lot of major cities. I've been to Washington, Baltimore. I've been to, like I said, I've been all over California, San Diego, California.
Right.
I've been all over the Midwest. I've been just by every major metropolitan city that you can think of.
Okay.
And this by far, Detroit is the worst ran I've ever seen.
Right.
As far as the way that, all the way down to city council,
Mm-hmm.
all the way down to the water department, the lack of transparency, the overtaxation, the ungodly amount of money that goes out, and the lack of resources and benefits you get in return. Like I said, I moved from a state in Florida where you pay federal tax once a year, and there's no city tax, there's no state tax, and yet you have trash twice a week, you have recycling once a week,
Mm-hmm.
you have all your public services, mail comes Monday through Saturday.
Right.
You don't have to worry about mailmen having to scan your box to make sure they're doing their job.
Mm-hmm.
There's no this. People are accountable to themselves.
Right.
You don't have to have a government overstepping and overseeing their people because things are properly ran.
Right.
People care about and people want to invest in the city back.
Right.
And
I think people want the city of Detroit to clean up their act and bring it to a little bit more representative government for the people, rather than just the downtown district. But we see what happens when we're ignored, and the money goes elsewhere.
Absolutely.
What does bring you to Brightmoor, and tell me about the spot you're in today, and your worries for.
Well, it's kind of a good segue there. I mean, what brought me here to Michigan was my son. I have a 5-year-old son I have joint custody of.
Okay.
I literally had a place in Melbourne Beach paid off, on the ocean. All my bills were less than $700 a month. And I gave up all that to move here.
Right.
And for what I'm getting here, it's like it's not pans out. Like what am I getting in return for what I gave up?
Right.
It's like, and people, since I moved here, I have not been once had one person, a Michigander, say, "Thank you for taking a chance and moving here."
Oh,
Thank you
hey,
for
let
being
me
a
be
part
the
of it.
first one. Thank you for taking a
Yeah.
chance in Brightmoor.
Thank you. The very first question that everybody gives me, and with the look on their faces,
Why?
What are you doing here?
Right.
Now, when your own citizens say that about your state and your own city,
Right.
what kind of image is that set up for everybody else?
Exactly.
Why would anyone come to it like, what am I doing here?
Right.
Why am I here?
Right.
So until the inward perception going outward changes, people aren't going to come to here.
Right.
That's the other thing. Why would people come and move to a city? Why would they go from a place like Florida where you have to pay one tax a year
Right.
and move into a city, especially if you work in the city, there's a city working tax, there's a city tax for living in the city, they state tax you, and then federal tax you. So
Right.
you're taxed 1, 2, 3, 4 times. You're
Right.
taxed 4 times, and then if you live in the city on a vehicle, you pay the highest insurance in the country.
Right.
By
It's all
far.
against us, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
so
this hits,
where
this
is
hits me hard.
legitimacy of moving somebody in the city?
Right.
Where is the retention? Because yes, people may move here, but you don't tell them about that. And once they move here and find out that, they move immediately out of the city to Livonia, Redford, Royal Oak.
It's cheaper to run a business out of those places.
Yes, because you're outside the city limits. You're still within driving distance, but you're not paying the taxes. You're getting services that work and function properly. So this ain't just normal complaining. This is somebody who's lived somewhere else, who's lived in properly functioning cities.
And you know
and
the difference.
Moves here.
You know the difference.
Yeah, and to me, it's almost as if, you know, it may sound harsh, especially to Detroit residents who've lived here all their life, but this whole Detroit pride thing, the pride has got to go. 30 years of pride, look where it's gotten you.
Right.
Pride cometh before the fall.
Right.
You fell 30 years ago. Let the pride go.
Right. Oh, you know, I never heard it said like that.
Okay.
That's a
Furthermore,
good quote.
I see this other promotion, Detroit versus everybody.
Yeah.
This is the most whiny, complaining slogan I've ever heard in my entire life.
Right.
You're basically saying, woe is me. Everybody's against me.
Mm-hmm.
It's all, you know, everybody else's fault.
Mm-hmm.
How about saying Detroit plus everybody else?
Mm-hmm.
Let's get us back involved with everybody else.
Right
Not
on.
us versus everybody else. That's the problem for the last 30 years. So
All
we
right,
got to change the perspective.
Let's go ahead and change up the subject just a little bit. What is your hopes for the near future? Do you plan on staying in Brightmoor?
Potentially. With this house, it's a unique situation because I do kind of have a landlord who's been kind of not doing right by the state or by his own tenant.
Right.
If things pan out the way I'd like for them to pan out, I'd like to buy this house because there is potential here. There is
Right.
the opportunity for this neighborhood to come back and to thrive.
Right.
If people are willing to invest and take the time and like me to actually fight for it.
Right on.
Like I said, I have always concerns and I voice all these opinions and I'm very passionate because I do care.
Right.
And I'm wanting to stay here, but I need these concerns addressed. And if these concerns aren't going to be addressed, then like everybody else, I'm not staying around.
Yep. Yeah, well, we want to keep people like you in our neighborhood, and yeah, you want to be here. Circumstances aren't making it easy for you to stay here. I'm having those same issues myself, and I can wholeheartedly agree with you that it's all stacked against us. When it comes to a lot of those reasons you stated, taxes.
Well, you're saying
insurance.
it's stacked against us, but more than anything, like I said, they're stacked against themselves. They're stacked.
Well, I consider us everybody in the city of Detroit. I'm included with that.
I get what you're saying. But I'm saying like it starts at the officials we elect.
Mm-hmm.
It starts at holding them accountable and also demanding certain things got to be let go.
Transparency.
Transparency.
Transparency, number one.
Like I said, this whole city tax thing. Imagine if you eliminated city tax. It may sound like a huge hit, but if you eliminated city taxes, how many more people would you have potentially moving into the city?
Right on.
So now you're selling all these houses. You're getting all this money that's being invested in remodeling. You get all these people that actually spend their money back into the community.
Mm-hmm.
So are you saying that your city tax is worth more than that?
Right.
Certain
Well
concessions
stated.
need to be made here.
Well stated.
Yeah, something needs to be given. Something needs to be shaken up seriously hardcore.
I agree.
And having an emergency manager come in, try to fix this whole bankrupt thing. He leaves, and immediately the entire city council gives themselves $80,000 raises. The problem's pretty damn clear.
Right. All right, specifically targeting this neighborhood and the concept of how we got here, seeing that you're a little bit more on the outside than most people, what would be your thinking as to how this neighborhood got this way? Would it be the slumlord situation? Would it be the loan scams? What would be your idea as to how this neighborhood got this way?
From, me being somebody who moved here, is from what I've understood and from what I've heard and then from what I've researched my own, it seems like pretty much a combination of all the factors. It wasn't one thing, it was a snowballing effect of all. And the fact that it was allowed to go on. It allowed it to build and build and build to the point it got to.
Right.
You don't become the most blighted city in all of America.
In all of the world.
In all of the world.
Seems like it,
Yeah, next, for lack of trying,
Right.
Like, if you were really truly trying to do things and try to hemorrhage these problems, you would address these issues about taxes and about, the blight and the massive flight of the city back in the 70s and 80s.
Right.
Not thinking ahead beyond the motor companies.
Right.
Not thinking, and now you're trying to play catch up with the IT industry and try and bring jobs back here, but it's California got that locked down.
Right.
There's places in the South that got that locked down already.
Right.
So you got to try to find something that's going to want to bring people back here. I think doing the urban farming and the community things like that is a unique opportunity to try to change the neighborhoods a little bit and try to do something that's different than other cities.
About the animal husbandry, are you for that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of my plans. Like, 'cause I grew up outside of Tampa, about 15 miles outside of Tampa, a little country town, and about similar to this, about 10, 15 miles outside the city. We had 10 and a half acres. And it was adjacent to another 123 acres of cattle land. So we had a couple of sheep, a couple of chicken coop. We had some small animals.
Right.
We raised a black Angus cattle, two every year for our own personal meat.
There you go.
So things like this, if I bought this property, like I was explaining to you, if I bought this and this, I like to fence this in, build a sheep pen.
Oh, that would be great too.
Chicken coops in,
Yeah.
And everything I do, everything animal I have, I use for personal food or for sustainability.
Right. Right.
I would have a garden out here eventually. There's things I want to do, but just as right now, as a renter, and with the whole situation with the housing, with my my landlord, why should I put any time or effort into something if it's going to be swept up from underneath me?
Right.
Especially from what I understand what happened down the street with the other lady about how he signed a lease with her, and then 2 months later she gets a knock on her door from the new owners saying, "Hey, we need you out in January." And she's like, "Well, I have a lease with him until."
It lowers your confidence level that won't be done. That may be done to yourself.
And yet here I am, knowing about all the things that were on this house, and he hasn't brought it up to me one time. He hasn't mentioned it to me one time.
How many houses on this street? And let's go out here and see if we can point out the houses here.
At least 4 or 5 that I know he owned. He owned probably 3 or 4 now.
Now he owns Luella's house, which is right there.
The truck.
He owns your house, which is right here.
The brown roof, pitch roof, brown one.
Well, he just sold that one.
Well, no, he lost that one.
Oh, he lost it. Okay.
Yeah, because that got lost in auction. That's the one
house?
I bought up.
All right.
The White House next to it, the porch. The little,
this one right there?
Yep. And then the one with the car in front
I'll
of it.
get that up right there, and then the one with the car in front of it.
Basically.
And that's the one, the White House right directly next to it. And I knocked on all of their doors.
Yeah.
Do you know of any other properties in and around here he may own?
Not that I'm aware off the top of my head. I know a few on this neighborhood that he owns. I know in the past, from what I understood, he used to do like they all do. They'd let him go to auction and turn around and flip them and buy them back.
Right.
But
yeah. Well, they closed that loophole.
So, and that's the thing, and all this is saying on. You gotta give Mayor Mike Duggan some credit. Now, the guy, for what the guy's resources and abilities are right now, and all he's got on his plate, he's done more. I think, from an outside perspective, from what I've seen, he's done more for this city. And these 2 years, 3 years he's been in office than some of these governments have done their entire terms, 10, 15 years.
Well,
look at the houses that are getting torn down. Look at the things that are moving forward. I mean, I took my son downtown last night to Campus Marshes to go ice skating, and it actually was nice downtown last night. Weather was great, people were out and about.
Can't beat right now,
yeah.
right?
So, there is, I get what you're saying about you can't focus everything on Detroit, on downtown and the city, but if it's got to be some kind of indication, because it's got to start somewhere and spread out.
Right.
I just hope, because we're on the very edge of the city, that we're not the last ones. I hope it starts in the center and starts on the edges and meets in the middle.
You know what?
That's
Great.
what it needs to do.
Great. Yeah, and that's exactly what's going to need to happen. It's going to take citizens like you and I to go ahead and say, you know what? Maybe that isn't a government issue. Maybe it's something we can take care of locally. Maybe they can just go ahead and send us the funds if to get these things done. If they don't want to pay the attention to our neighborhood, we can pay attention to our neighborhood. And I think that's starting to take root here in Brightmoor.
Well, I think a lot of it too it's about. The books need to be open every year, all year, and account, especially with what the city's been through and what's going through. This city needs more transparency than any other city in this country at all times.
Right.
Because of everything that's going on and continues to go on.
Right.
That, especially, they just reported the other day about how the cost of demoing these blight houses has jumped. Thousands of dollars.
Yeah,
since they've done it. So that shows you, okay.
From 14 to over 25 is the number.
It went from 10 to 14 to 20, yeah.
Right, and that's an exponential rise in the cost of razzing these homes.
And as somebody who's in the construction industry, I can tell you right now they can't justify that.
No, right. I'm probably the same way you are when I speak of Mike Duggan. I think he's probably he is the best mayor we've had probably in about 40 years. Most people won't agree with me on that one, but
actions
in my
speak
lifetime,
louder than words, period.
What's that?
Actions speak louder than words.
Right, and but I am highly critical of the razzing of the houses. I think the communities, I think John George does a better job than he does, when it comes to taking down these houses.
We'll give you an example. These two houses right here.
Yeah.
Okay. They've just put another sign to demo that house again. It's had two other signs on it before. I've lived here for over a year. It was already had a yellow sign when I moved here.
Right.
The brown, burned down roof one. Same
And
with
then
this one.
here.
It's had two blight home tear down signs on it, and both have fallen off, faded and fallen off by now. So that's how long they've sitting here. Like, yes, the blight's getting done. Yes, they only have so much and so much manpower, but there's a long way to go still. Like I said.
Well, they.
And then also, like, I'll hear gunshots out here at the back of the park some nights and stuff, but cops, and I'll see cops sitting parked in front of the park.
Right.
So how do you park here half the time?
You think there's a lot of poaching going on down there?
No, not really.
I talked with DNR, and they said there's a lot of poaching going on down there.
I have seen deer come up through here.
Oh, they're all over.
And they'll come up here and snack and stuff.
Yep.
But mostly it sounds like people shooting off freaking like 9s and 38s and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So I grew up hunting. I grew up, firearms. I grew up in a Republican family. Like, we had guns and stuff. And
right.
Like, they go to that back of that, because that big park over here.
Yep.
Big loop.
Yep.
Yeah, they'll go back of Liza Howe over the woods over here, and then back, they'll walk off by the trails, and I'll hear them, 2 o'clock in the morning.
They're shooting, huh? Okay.
Like, you hear a whole clip go off,
Right.
So, and then, that DPD Connect app?
Yep.
I always make notes on there, hey, prostitution on the corner, or, loitering, people out here. They finally shut this gas station down, I guess.
The gas station or Ronnie's?
Ronnie's, yeah, on this side.
You mean the liquor store? Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
They're always loitering out there and prostitutes and stuff, and I kept calling DPD, every time I do this, it's documented facts, basically.
Right on.
Because then go, hey, you weren't aware of it? Look on this date and this date and this date, and it's all there.
Right on. And we use it extensively in our neighborhood as well. Have you hooked up with NBB at all? Any of the community safety groups and that sort of deal?
Well.
We're actually
I get the newsletters and stuff like that.
We actually have a safety group where we text each other any kind of issues that are going on. And
she has my email. She emails me all the updates and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I get all that.
Well, we do right away. If there's somebody in the neighborhood, we all converge.
Oh, really?
Where we get together. I want to. If there's an issue, I want to snuff it out really quickly. And especially when they find out, more than one person's willing to come out, the whole community comes out.
Yeah. All of a sudden you walk out a door and there's 5 people standing around going, "What the hell are you doing?"
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And then that's going to change stuff. We just did that, what was it, yesterday? One of the girls were walking down here. There was a guy in an F-150, a brand new F-150, playing with himself, and making lewd comments to them and that sort of deal. And we were trying to chase them, find him and chase him off and that sort of deal. We didn't find him, but when we were going back into my neighborhood, we found dumpers. So, it gets us moving out in the neighborhood, and we came together and converged on that situation. They actually turned from dumpers to people picking up their own mess. So we sent them along. I'm sure they went to some other community and dumped off where they don't give a shit. But in our communities, that's not going to happen. So.
But those kind of people, you almost want to, all right, can you follow me? I'll show you where the nearest dump is. Like, you just almost want to follow them, enforce them to go, hold them accountable. And I thought, you're not going somewhere else dumping it. I'm going to follow you over the dump, make sure you pay for it and do it right.
Exactly. And,
that's the other thing, too. I work for a licensed contractor in Downriver, we're based out in Lincoln Park. I would never conceive of taking my job site waste and dumping it in somebody's neighborhood. Yeah. It's only in Detroit I've ever seen that.
Right.
And I've been all over this country, and I've never seen that anywhere but the city. And it's because the city allows it. If you litter a piece of paper on the highway in Florida, it's a $150 ticket.
Yeah.
For a piece of gun wrapper.
1 second. Luella. Yes. I'm still at your house. I'm interviewing neighbors right now.
Okay, I'm coming right over, and I've got a bunch of people who are coming to help me.
All right. I'll see you soon.
Okay, great.
All right. Bye.
But so I'm saying, it's polar differences about priorities in the city.
Right.
If the police held people accountable, these dumpers, to hell with just give them a slap on the wrist, give them a $5,000 fine, put them in jail for 10 days and make them go pick up road. That's what they should do. If you get caught dumping, you should be part of a road crew for next week cleaning up trash. Humiliate these people to this point. They realize, I'm not going to do that because I don't look like an idiot anymore. Right. And if you don't show up for your road crew, guess what? Now you get spent freaking a week in jail for not doing right.
Exactly.
These are things that need to be held accountable, and not just held accountable. They need to be put back to work.
Right.
Implement them.
Right.
You want the city to clean up? It's free labor right there.
Right on.
Hold them accountable. If you're not going to finish the jail, put them back to work.
Right. Hook them up with people like NBB and Northwest Brightmoor Renaissance, and and we'll find blight for them to come pick up.
On top of that, get them hooked up with organizations that help put these people back to work to begin with. For these, for these minority groups and things like that, trying to put these people back to work. Get them involved in this, man.
You know, I've actually
Make 'em
found
feel valued.
contractors. There's a contractor called they're called what was it? American Pool Service on 8 Mile.
Mm-hmm.
They're in Southfield. They actually got caught dumping in here. I caught them on video, and they lied, and they're constantly telling me that they're going to go ahead and sue me because I wrote a bad review on
Defamation of
Google.
character, whatever, yeah.
Right. Well, they can't dispute what's on video, so
Yeah.
they go away rather quickly, and that's one of their tools to try and to intimidate guys like me, is to say that what I'm doing is illegal, and you know, and I'm just like, you're out of your damn mind, you know,
No,
and so I'm
free
actually
speech,
finding out there's a lot of it's not the mentality of the people inside the city that thinks it's okay to trash. It's also the
whole state,
surrounding areas saying, you know what, Detroit's trash. You can see that on Facebook posts and that sort of deal. Why do you give a shit? You know, I'm like, well, because for one, I live here.
Yeah.
And number two,
If I said where you live is trash all day, every day, would you take it personally? Yeah.
Right. These are the same people that call me racist because I don't think that the Syrians are best suited to be transplanted into our neighborhood.
Yeah. It's a whole other thing. Like, you're right. It's not about. It's not about, you know, that's the biggest thing. Dr. King said it best, you know, in his I Have Dreams speech. There's one line that nobody ever seems to remember. It's the most important line in the entire speech. I dream of a day that my children will not be judged upon the color of their skin, but the content of their character.
Amen, brother.
Now, what does the content of your character say about you?
Right on.
I'll leave it at that.
Right on. Thanks for talking with me.
You too, brother.
All right. And I will go ahead and